perhaps we ought to get started.
All right.
I know Ms. Jansen has a tremendous amount to cover. So let me just say thank you so much for coming to our SCORE Lunch and Learn. Ellen Jansen is a consultant and a strategist, and actually one of the smartest women I know. So she is going to be talking to us about execution rather than strategy, I believe. So Ellen, I'm just going to turn this on over to you and let you take over.
Awesome. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well out there. And throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, you can either put them in the chat, or Lisa, will they be able to interject?
Everybody's on mute.
Okay.
People have put themselves on mute, basically.
Okay.
But they can unmute themselves and they can then ask questions. I try to get people to come to be panelists, but everybody wants to just hide today.
Okay.
Which is fine.
All right, great. All right, so we do have a lot of information to cover, but we're going to talk a little bit about execution, and we're going to talk about building your strategic plan. So Peter Drucker, a very famous efficiency expert, let's say, basically said the phrase "execution eats strategy for breakfast." And but whenever you're building a good strategy, it makes the execution so much easier. So we're going to talk a little bit about both the building that strategic plan, and then when we start doing the workshops in September, we're going to talk more about that execution of the strategic plan. But today we're going to kind of give you a high-level overview of that. All right, so let's get started. Before we really talk about the strategic plan itself, I just wanted to both talk about a strategic plan and a business plan and make sure that you really understand the difference between the two. The strategic plan is used whenever, once you've already started the business. It's really going to focus more on innovation and growth of your company. As opposed to a business plan, the business plan is what you're completing before you actually open the business. It's really to kind of think through all of the possible scenarios that you have so you can address any of the risks and really understand whether it is the right market, it's the right product, and it's the right time to build your business. All right, so that's the difference between a strategic plan and your business plan. I wrote down some of the components of a strategic plan and some of the components of a business plan, and you'll see that there are things that overlap in there. But again, the biggest difference here is that you're going to focus more on the overall a 3 to 5 year look of the company, and you're going to really work on the overarching goals on the strategic plan, and then you're going to really dig down into the goals, opportunities, objectives, actions, and the tactics that you're going to use to grow your business or to innovate your business and re-energize it. All right, any questions on the difference between the strategic plan and business plan? All right, so
what is a KPI?
Pardon?
What is a KPI?
Thank
Objectives.
you. KPI? KPI is a key performance indicator.
Okay.
And that's basically your metrics. It's a metric you're going to use. You can have individual KPIs for the people on your team, but those KPIs are derived from the KPIs of the department and of the company as well. All right. Okay. If you have any, does everybody have a business plan already in place? Everybody's completed the business plan. Are you at the point where it is really the strategic plan you're working on, or is anybody still working on a business plan? You could just put it in chat. Okay. And Lisa will come back with any of that information.
Yep.
All righty. Okay. So if execution eats strategy for breakfast, what good is a strategy, right? How does it really help your business? Well, the strategy is really something that provides the direction and the framework for the execution. It's your roadmap. It's going to align your resources It's going to make sure you have the actions identified to achieve the goals that you've set out. It also ensures when you're really digging down into that strategic plan that you're building something that's efficient and effective, and you're not kind of continuously going in circles. And you need both really to build something meaningful and lasting. You need both the strategic plan, and you also need the ability to execute on that strategic plan. And the last thing is fires happen. Fires happen in every single business. There's always going to be a fire that you're going to have to fight at some point in time, early on, later in life, in the middle, multiple times throughout your business journey. You're going to end up fighting fires. When you have a solid strategic plan, it's something that you get to come back to. All right, you fight that fire and you come back to your strategic plan, and you know exactly where you have to continue to go. The other thing in that strategic plan is if you've done a solid strategic plan, you're going to prepare yourself for some of those fires that may happen in the future, because you're going to think through all of that. And then you're also going to think through how would I solve some of these biggest risks that may pop up over the course of my journey, right? So that's how your strategic plan will help you. All right, so where do you start? So the first thing you have to do when you're building your strategic plan is to define the purpose. Why are you creating the strategic plan in the first place? All right, are you building it because you want to have a legacy company and you want it to grow and pass it on to your kids? Do you want to build a strategic plan because you want to grow a business in the next 3 years or 5 years and you want to sell it? All right, so you want to really get a real clear idea of why you're even building the strategic plan, because it's going to be built around what that vision is for the future. You're also going to set that scope on the strategic plan. A lot of times there's some very, very large companies have a 10-year strategic plan. All right, most companies have maybe 5 years max. But a lot of people are switching to the 3 years because things are changing so rapidly that they're really only focusing on that 3-year time horizon. It does not mean that you're reviewing your strategic plan every 3 to 5 years. You're reviewing your strategic plan constantly. You're reviewing it. Some companies are reviewing it every other week. They're looking at their strategic plan to make sure things are moving forward. But you absolutely want to make sure that you're doing a deep dive on your strategic plan at least quarterly. All right. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to conduct a SWOT analysis. And your SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'm certain almost everybody on this call has heard of this, the SWOT. But if you haven't, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And really, when you're looking at that SWOT, it's really to analyze and analyze the insights that you've found, how you can determine the strengths that you have, how your strengths can be leveraged, how you're going to address those weaknesses, how you're going to take those opportunities and really engage in them, and then really how do you mitigate those risks. That's what you're going to look like. That's what you're going to look at the strategic plan. On the SWOT analysis. So on the next slide here, we have a sample of a SWOT analysis. All right, so the SWOT, you're going to look at internal and external views. Internally, you're looking at your company's strengths and weaknesses. And externally, you're looking at the opportunities and threats that are out there in the marketplace. So I've given you some examples of strengths, and you see nimbleness, consistency, quality, but those are just words. All right. And the words have to mean something in the context of your business. All right. That's really what you're looking for when you're looking at your strengths and any of the words that are in these sections. Okay. It has to be in the context of your business. So if you think that your company is nimble, how is it nimble? What are you doing that defines the nimbleness within your company? And how are you identifying that as a strength? So you want to make sure that you're really thinking about what is behind those words, because you're going to be coming back to the SWOT analysis as you do your review of your strategic plan, because things are going to change. You're going to be working on the weaknesses that you have that are going to be most impactful to the success of your plan. And so you're going to keep coming back, moving those weaknesses over to strengths. Doesn't mean you're going to work on every single weakness though. All right. You're not there to say, okay, I have a list of 15 weaknesses and I got to start knocking them off one by one. Again, what you're going to do is define exactly what that weakness is. And then you're going to prioritize how important, how impactful that weakness is to the success of your business. And if it's a high priority item, those are the ones you're going to be addressing first within your strategic plan. All right. When we look at opportunities, if you see the opportunities out there, it's what are some of the opportunities that are happening in your industry? What are the opportunities that are out there in the marketplace? What are the opportunities out there in the from the people aspect? All right. So if we look at opportunities here, one of those is the growth of Nashville. Great example of an opportunity out there, because Nashville is growing so much and has grown so much. You have a bigger market. All right. You may also have, on the other side of threats, more competition. All right. So what you identify as an opportunity could also be a threat to you. All right. Because that opportunity opened up more opportunity for you to grow your business, but it also opened up a lot more competitors that may be coming into the market. All right. Another opportunity or a threat might be a threat maybe, and I didn't list it here, but it might be a barrier to entry, might be a threat. And what I mean by barrier, a low-cost barrier of entry, I'll give you an example of that. So let's say you're a landscape company, all right? And a barrier of entry for that would be the fact that almost anybody can go and get a lawnmower, a weed whacker, and put their sign up and go and start mowing lawns, right? And if you've been in business for a while, building your landscaping company, that is a threat for you, because it's a low cost for people to actually enter the market. All right, so those are the things you want to think about when you're thinking about your internal strengths and weaknesses, and then your external opportunities and threats. Does anybody have any questions on the SWOT?
Well, we actually have one question here from Martin, and it's who's a much better email platform other than Google?
What's a better email platform than Google?
Yes, that was the question.
Um,
Is that would that be like a threat? So if you were Google,
Oh,
who would you be competing against? Who would be threatening you?
I see. So you could have, like Google Chrome, or you could have well, let's just say Google, when you're searching on Google, right? You have DuckDuckGo, right? You can go to DuckDuckGo and you could go start searching information from DuckDuckGo. So that would be one of those. Some companies are so big they don't have that many competitors, or they have little very small competitors that are pecking away at the lower end. So you might look at AT&T or Verizon, right? But then below that you have maybe Cricket, right? So they're going to go after a different market niche. So Google would have a very high barrier to entry. A very high barrier to entry.
Oh, so Martin was saying wrong. I'm asking for an answer. Who's better?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. I don't have that answer.
Yeah, I don't know that answer either. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can maybe we can write that down and see if we can do a little research on that for you, Martin, and get back to you. And maybe if you could put in the chat, Martin, what specifically are you looking for when you're looking for a different provider? And that might help us narrow that down. All right, any other question?
Not at this point.
All right, so now that you've gone ahead and you've done your SWOT analysis, and you've really identified and more than just the words again on your SWOT analysis, you've really thought about what those words mean. Now you're ready for the next piece of this. And that's really to set your vision, mission, core values, and your competitive advantage. All right. So your vision is what you want to set. And your vision is something that can be very personal. It's not something that necessarily has to be external client facing. All right. But it is a clear aspiration of what you want the organization to achieve in the long term. So again, I had mentioned earlier, when you talk about the purpose, your vision could be, I want to sell my company, right? Or I want to turn it over to my employees. That's your vision. That could be a vision, and that wouldn't necessarily be an outward facing vision. All right. A vision could be something where you want to build, you want to have you want to be the #1 provider of landscaping services in the country. Or you want to be the top radon inspector in the country. That's a vision, right? That's going to be a very long-term vision. The next piece you're going to want, and that's going to take you a little while to do your vision. When we get to the workshops in September, we're going to spend some, if you haven't created your vision yet, we're going to spend some time digging deep into how you create that vision. All right, but it's something that you really need to think long and hard about. On the mission is really going to be outward facing. That's going to define the purpose of the organization, and it's going to describe what you do for whom and why. Many times you're going to see companies that have mission statements that are a paragraph long, 5, 6, 7 sentences long or more. That's way, way, way too long. All right. You want people to be able to say the mission and live the mission and really have a good understanding of it. When it's that long, it gets lost. It gets lost in people just put that aside, and it's just words. So mission again is something you're going to spend a lot of time trying to build, because it's going to be very important that you get your mission right, because that's what everything is going, that's how you're building everything towards fulfilling that mission statement. All right, the next piece is your core values. And these are your guiding principles and beliefs that's really going to, and these are going to influence every decision that you make, from hiring to terminating, to what kind of products you serve, you provide, and what kind of clients you're going to serve. So again, your core values, I've worked with companies that mission, vision, and core values, we will spend a whole day really vetting that kind of information out to get to the core values that people are going to live with and they're going to demonstrate on a daily basis. And then finally, your competitive advantage. Your competitive advantage, you might have heard it as a UVP, the unique value proposition, right? It's what makes you different than everybody else out there. It's not that, you can be a number of different things, but the chance of one company being the most cutting edge company, it's going to take a lot of money to be the most cutting edge company, right? But when you look at what is it that makes you unique, it's not always one thing. It's usually a combination of 3 or 4 things. That's what makes you unique in the market. All right, so you're going to really think about, again, your competitive advantage as well, right? What are the things that make you unique? So let's go to thinking about how to build that mission statement. All right, let's build your mission statement. What do you do? These are the 3 questions you're going to ask. What do you do? How do you do it? Who do you do it for? And sometimes you're going to say, why do you do it, right? You can put that why do you do what you do, can also be the what do you do. So I gave you an example here. So for the mission statement for OKU Strategies, for instance, is what does OKU do? Well, OKU builds anti-fragility, okay? Which means it helps make companies strong and not fragile. They're able to thrive during hard times. That's what OKU does. How do they do it? They do it by bringing in big business resources that sometimes smaller companies can't afford to have full-time on staff, like a strategist, right? Or maybe a marketing executive, all right? So they bring big business resources in. And who do they do it for? They do it for smaller size companies. All right, so if you look at their mission statement, my mission statement is our mission statement is to build anti-fragility by bringing big business resources to smaller sized companies. Okay, easy to remember, one line. It tells you what I do and who I do it for and how I do it. I put another example in here from Tractor Supply. What is it they do? All right, they provide legendary service and great products at everyday low prices. Okay. How do they do it? By working hard, having fun, and making money. That's how they're doing it. They're able to continue to do this because they're making money. And who do they do it for? Even though it doesn't say their customers, that's kind of implied, right? Who do they do that for? They provide the service and products to their customers. All right. So that's the mission statement. So how long should a mission statement be? Probably only about 20, 25 words, anywhere from 15 to 25 words, maybe. That's about it. All right. And you'll know when you're done with your mission statement, when there's nothing left to take away. Not when there's more stuff to add. It's when there's nothing left to take away from a big mission statement that you may have 4 or 5 sentences. You're going to cull that down until you get to something like 20, 25 words, and there's nothing more you can take away. All right. Any questions on that? Does anybody have a mission statement that they'd like to share, that they've spent some time developing?
So I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So, the mission statement doesn't really have to be focused as much on the unique value proposition, because I look at this and, you know, like Tractor Supply, providing legendary service and great products. So those are table stakes. That's not, you know, if you don't have that, then you kind of should get out of the game, you know? So that's not really it doesn't really have anything to do with their value proposition. So you don't throw your value proposition in there.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Those are that is correct. They're 2 separate things. Yes. Okay. Your value proposition is what makes you different than everybody else. All right. Okay. If anybody decides to share their mission statement, that would be great. Just put it in the chat and we will share that. If anybody wants their mission statement evaluated, we could also do that if you want some input on it. All right. So the next slide is really about, this is the toughest part, okay? You have your vision, you have your mission, but now you've got to get your core values, all right? And the core values really a challenge here for many companies. One is because there's so many things that people believe that they are, but again, you have to get down to a couple of core things, and one is authenticity. Your core values have to really reflect the actual beliefs and behaviors within the organization. Not what you aspire to be, but what you truly are, what you live day to day. All right. You have defining values, and that's going to be when I talked a second ago, you want those actionable behaviors. All right. Behaviors that everybody knows how to demonstrate the core value from their perspective. When you say you give excellent client service, all right, that might be a core value. We give excellent client service. Well, you should be breaking that down to every role within your company. How does the person that answers the phone provide excellent customer service? Well, one behavior could be they answer the phone in 3 rings, right? How does the outside salesperson demonstrate excellent behavior? I mean, excellence in service excellence, right? Well, maybe they respond to emails before the end of the business day, all right? Or within 3 hours of receiving it. That could be excellent customer service. How does the production person provide excellent customer service? Well, they make sure that their machine is running perfectly so they can get the product out. All right. So when you're defining those values, those are behaviors that should be able to be demonstrated throughout the company, but they may be demonstrated in very different ways. All right. Your core values should be driving all of your decisions. All right. From your hiring practices, from how you handle clients, and most importantly, how leadership behaves, because it starts at the top. The leaders have to lead. Okay, they have to lead the way, and they have to be accountable. They have to hold themselves to standards, to the high standards that have set, even when it means they're going to make some difficult decisions and have some very, very difficult conversations. That's why it's important to have the core values well defined, because that's how you want people to act every single day. That's how you hold them accountable. And if you lower those standards, I can tell you one thing, the standards will be met. All right. Whenever you wherever you have those standards and you expect the accountability, they'll be met. So if you lower them, they're going to get lower. All right. So that's why you want to really spend time on your core values. All right. So building your core values. I've given you some words here. On the left in the yellow are words that may describe the person. All right. In the green, it's things that may describe the company. All right. And some of these words will overlap. Some of them describe both you and some describe the company. All right. So when you see that, those are probably some of the words you're going to want to use in your core values. When you're defining your core values, you're not taking the Merriam-Webster definition of innovation. All right. You are actually saying how within our company, how would we demonstrate, what does innovation mean to us? All right. Innovation to Apple is very, very different than innovation to a printing company. All right. So you really want to define what innovation means within your business and within your people. All right. So when you say disciplined, what does disciplined mean to you? And again, you're not going to define it with 3 and 4 sentences. You're going to cut it down to maybe 8 to 10, 12 words. That's going to define what it means to be disciplined in your company. All right. Any questions on the core values piece? All right. So I just listed a bunch of words here, but there are many, many more words out there that may describe you. All right. But this is a start. You'd want to take words that describe you, words that describe your company, add them to a list like this, and then just start circling. What are the words that matter to me? What are the things that describe me? What are the words that describe the company? And when you see those words overlap, those are really good words to start with. Okay, so then you start defining this. But that's a great exercise in how do I really start thinking about my core values? Okay. Any questions?
Not at this time.
All right. All right. So now what's your competitive advantage? How are you creating your unique value proposition? All right. First thing you need to do is understand who's your target audience? What do they value most, and what problems are you trying to solve? All right, so we're looking at the founder of Spanx. All right, what did she do? All right, she found a very unique product and a very unique niche, right? And she solved the problem that many women had out there, right? So her unique value proposition, when she looks at the competition, she doesn't look at the competition and say, I have to beat them. She has identified the 3 things that made her company strong, and she says, I have to keep improving them. I know who my market is, I have a unique product, and I have a quality product. That's her unique value proposition, those 3 things. So she's not worried about what the competition is doing out there as far as saying, I have to destroy them in order for me to be number 1. She takes her unique value proposition and makes each of those steps better. All right. The other thing is you do want to analyze your competitors. Okay. You always want to analyze them. It's not that you don't care about what they're doing. You just want to make sure that, are there gaps there? What's something that they may be offering that you aren't offering, or that you see they're not offering that you can even do better from your company? So you want to analyze what's out there from your competitors, from a competitive perspective. You're going to define your unique benefits. What makes your offering stand out? How does it benefit the customers differently than the competitors? And then last, you're going to craft a statement, right? Your unique value proposition of what it is that your company brings to the table. And it's a combination of all of that. All right. So this is really the start of you building your strategic plan with the vision, the mission, the core values, and your unique value proposition. There's a lot more that goes into building your strategic plan. As we said earlier on, when you look at all of the, when you look at all of the different components in your strategic plan, you're going to be identifying your goals, your objectives, the actions, and the tactics. Along with all of that, when you're setting your goals, you're going to be looking at your SWOT analysis. What are my weaknesses that are going to stop me from achieving my goals? What are the threats that are out there in the market that are going to stop me from achieving my goals that I've set out? You're also going to say, what can I do? What opportunity can I capitalize on that will help catapult me to achieve my goal? And how can I use the strengths within the company to achieve the goals that have been set? All right. So that's the next thing you're going to have to do, is look at the goals and objectives. Your objectives are going to be the items that actually support the goals, but you're going to have to develop key performance indicators, the KPIs around them. What are the metrics you're going to use to determine whether or not you're successful? All right. So there's a lot more to building your strategic plan, but what you really need to do is spend the time. I'm hoping that you're going to be joining the workshops. And when you join the workshops, we're really going to be able to take the information that you received today, just the start of this information, and dig deep and really be able to create that vision and the core values, and then get started on defining, what do your goals look like? What does that 3 to 5 year projection look like to you? Not from a financial perspective specifically, but what does my company look like in 3 years? How many people what's my revenue? What's my profit? How many employees do I want to have in 3 years? What kind of products and services do I want to have? What kind of clients do I want to have by then? Do I want to have different locations? Do I want to have online and retail? So those are a lot of the things we're going to be talking about during the workshops, but those are going to be with a lot more information. But if you take the things that we just talked about today and really spend time thinking through these, you'll be well prepared to move your strategic plan forward.
Ellen,
Yes.
can I ask you to do something for us?
Okay.
So could you take maybe 5 minutes? Talk to us about what your company does, just basic level. What does your company do?
Mhm.
What is your value proposition? And, kind of use your company as just a little bit of an example to flesh so that people can maybe understand a little bit more about some of these things that you're talking about.
Right. Okay. Yep. So I work with the smaller companies. And when I say smaller companies, they may range from less than $1 million to $150 million, okay, in revenue. So I work with them to help them define their strategic plan. So we'll build out that strategic plan. And then what we'll do is, as I said earlier, we'll go down and go from their overarching goals to their objectives, to their actions, their tactics. We'll put down who's responsible for what. We build out the timeline. And so people know that they have something that's going to be a quick hit in 30 days, or what has to be done in Q1, what should be done in Q2. And we build that action plan out to make sure that they can achieve the goals. But my role is to really help them vet out the challenges they may be having, and to make sure that they are asking themselves the right questions. Because many times people kind of get caught in, this is the way we've always done it. And they they actually don't see the whole field at times. And so that's my role, is to help them see that entire field. All right.
What is your unique value proposition?
My unique value proposition is to help people understand the field. And I do that through I work side by side I work side by side with the decision makers to help them see the entire field. And I do that through by providing them tools, customized tools, and customized guidance.
Okay. So I'll give an example as well. So SCORE, since we are supported by the Small Business Administration, anybody that comes to us and asks for mentoring, we help. Whether that person has just an idea, whether they've worked and they feel like they're close to being ready to launch, whether they've already launched and they need some help, we help all of those people. That's kind of our value proposition. We are open to helping everyone. Versus the Entrepreneur Center, which is an awesome resource for small businesses, but they're more focused on technology-based companies in general. And they have different silos, and they're not able to help people in every single business. And then there's Corner to Corner. Corner to Corner is a fantastic resource for small businesses, but they tend to help people who are in more environmentally or economically challenged areas, and who have got it's not a business yet, it's more like a side hustle, and they help them turn it into a business. So there are probably 20 different organizations that all help small businesses, but we all have our unique value propositions. I don't know if that helps anybody to kind of flesh out what they're thinking. Okay, so we've got a question here. Could you give an example of a unique value proposition statement?
That's a great question. Yeah. Well, so yeah, a lot of them will sound just like, it's very similar to the mission statement. All right. So you can say that, let me give you an example. I'm trying to think of one right offhand. You could say we help small businesses. We work alongside small business owners to provide them advice and guidance for them to meet the, well, let's see, I'm trying to think, but this is a tough one to come up with a different one. Work alongside business owners of small businesses on site to help to provide them the advice and guidance to bring their products to market. Okay, you can say something like that. You could talk about the fact that you are you're unique because like I said earlier with the Spanx, she has a quality product. We provide quality product that help women that fits into their lives seamlessly is what their unique value proposition is. Very similar to that. Let me think of another one. Yeah, I can't think of another one right off the top of my head.
I was trying to think of a company of, like a restaurant or something that might have a unique value proposition. And I was thinking about McDonald's, but I can't seem to think of, I don't eat McDonald's, so I'm having a hard time coming up with that.
Let's see.
Sometimes, trust me, sometimes it takes a while to really come up with what you feel like your unique value proposition is, something that really other people don't offer. Oh, so I don't know if you guys have ever heard of, it's a company called Cronin Creative. And it took them 9 months. They had been in business for 10 years. And then it took them 9 months to really figure out what their true value proposition was, because they had been doing all sorts of, album covers and marketing and helping some companies do branding. But then they said, wait a minute, what is our true value proposition? And they finally figured it out. And it is that they provide clarity by design. They can develop a clear communication for you to provide to your customers, so that your customers know exactly what you do. It's clarity.
Right. Right. I have the other examples. So for Apple iPhone, their unique value proposition, the experience is the product. All right. And that's a great example, because again, it's not about having that iPhone or the music in there. It is the packaging, the box it comes in. It's all of that is Apple's unique value proposition. And that statement, the experience is the product, is theirs. Uber's is the smartest way to get around. All right. That's Uber's value proposition. Okay. Slack, to be more productive at work with less effort. All right. It's the thing where you can communicate, very easily. So those are, those are some of the other unique value propositions. All right. Value proposition, I think Starbucks is something like, they provide an experience or making a community better one cup at a time. That's a unique value proposition. Okay. So,
And as I might also add, with burned coffee grounds.
With what?
Burned coffee grounds. How many of you guys think that Starbucks coffee tastes like the coffee is burned?
I do not like Starbucks.
There you go. I was just trying to add a little levity, adding to their value proposition. They probably wouldn't appreciate it. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. My mom said you could put a little salt in it. And it takes the bitter out.
Oh. And that's Ellen's suggestion for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ellen, do you or Michelle, do you have the dates for when we're gonna start those workshops by any chance?
I put them
Okay.
on the screen right now. The next
Okay.
workshop dates are September 13th and September 20th.
And they will be available to register later this afternoon.
Fantastic. Okay. Well,
Okay,
this was
and
awesome. I
great.
really appreciate it. There's a lot of work to be done, obviously. But I think sometimes just starting to think about it is the hardest thing.
It is.
So, yeah, so thanks for really planting all that. We've got what's GOAT is the question.
GOAT is the goals, objectives, actions, and tactics. That's the plan you're going to build out. After you have within your strategic plan, you're going to have your action plan, basically. And that's your goals, objectives, actions, and tactics. All right.
Awesome.
We're going to deep dive into the mission, vision, core values, and the unique value propositions, as well as building out that GOAT and having identifiable value metrics.
Fantastic.
All right.
We've got one more. We've got a raised hand. Darius, do you have a question? Darius, can you unmute, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. Thanks.
I was wondering, is all the workshops going to be in person or online?
I would be happy to do in person. But
Okay.
Yeah, at this point, are those Saturdays, Michelle? Are they?
Fridays.
They're Fridays.
I
Okay.
believe they're Fridays.
Okay. At this point, there's Zoom, but if we can work something out, we'll let you know.
Okay, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about strategic planning.
Thank you so much,
fun it
Ellen.
can be.
Looking forward to seeing you next month.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Ellen. Great
Bye.
workshop.
Thank you.